Can I lose weight without macro tracking? I don't see myself doing it forever. This is a really good question. This is a nice one. I get this one kind of often, so I'm gonna clear this up right after I drink some water. So you can lose weight without macro counting. Whether you count your macros or not, whether you count your calories or not, as long as you are eating less than you are burning, you will lose weight. If you have a plate of 500 calories, it's a 500 calorie plate of chicken and rice, something really basic. Whether you track that or not, it doesn't change that it's 500 calories. If you eat it and then you have that 3 times a day, you only eat 1,500 calories for the day. Whether you track it or not, it's still 1,500 calories. So you're still gonna lose weight. It's just you are more able to predictably lose weight and predictably get the outcome that you want when you track your macros, because you know for sure that you are eating this many calories. You know for sure that you're having this much protein and this much fiber. You know for sure that you are in the deficit that you should be in and consistently hitting that point so that you can get to the weight goal that you want or get to the physique goal that you want. Macro counting makes it more of a guarantee that you're going to actually get to the goal that you're looking for. You don't need to do it, but it definitely makes it so much easier and definitely creates more peace of mind when you do go through that. Macro counting isn't made for you to do it forever. I go through periods where I am tracking macros and where I'm not. It depends on how specific my goal is for that period of time. Right now, I'm just in a general strength building and maintenance phase. I'm not really focused too much on my physique. I'm just focused on getting nice and strong, having strong joints. So I'm just focused more on intuitive eating. But I earned the right to eat intuitively because I tracked for such a long period of time. Because without tracking, I didn't know what a lot of these foods were made up of. I didn't know how many calories these portions gave me, how much protein these portions gave me, how much carbs these portions gave me. Tracking helped educate me on what the different foods I was eating was made up of and what helped me reach my goal properly, what is going to help fuel me for my training for pre-workouts, what's going to help me recover post-workout. It helped educate me on these things so that now when I eat intuitively, I'm able to be successful with that because I went and did the work on the front end to understand these things and learn these things. When someone asks me this, I always like to compare it to climbing a mountain. I heard this analogy once from, I think, Jason Phillips, and it resonated really well with me and made a lot of sense. When you climb the mountain, you are doing all this diligent work to get to the top of the mountain, to reach this goal of yours, right? The goal is fat loss. You're going to need to follow a specific procedure, prepare properly. And once you make it to the top, you don't stay at the peak. You don't hang out there forever. You're going to come back down at some point. And coming back down is learning how to eat intuitively again. Going up is learning how to macro track so that you have that solid knowledge of food and solid understanding of how the portions look like and how they serve you. That's what getting to the peak looks like. It's getting to that goal of fully understanding your nutrition, fully understanding what you're consuming. And then once you do that, you're able to wean off of tracking and eat intuitively. The goal isn't to track forever. The goal is to use tracking as a tool to help you get to your physical goal easier. And once you get to that point, weaning you off of that and using what you learned from tracking to take you intuitively. So every client that goes the distance with me in terms of how long we coach, we go through the entire fat loss phase. We'll always go through a reverse diet phase at the end so that we find their new maintenance and understand what that looks like. And then we'll go through an approach where we learn to eat intuitively using what we learned. So what this looks like is maybe they'll go through a day of eating and they'll just feel out their different meals and what they're going to have. They won't log it in advance. They won't even log it afterwards. They'll log everything at the end of the day and see how they did, how it compared to their calorie total, and see how it compared to their protein total that they needed to have in the day. If they logged the entire period of time that we were in a fat loss phase and during the reverse diet phase, and now they're trying to wean off and go into intuitive eating for the long run, they should have a good solid understanding of what most of the foods they eat on a day-to-day basis are going to look like, what it's made up of, how many calories they're going to have. And that understanding and second nature makes it easier to eat intuitively going forward. So when they test themselves and they see that they actually hit their calorie mark by the end of the day after the 5 meals that they had, they're going to stay and maintain that success in the long run because they put that work in on the front end to track and understand what their food is. And then once they do that consistently, once they hit like a week or two of consistently knowing how much they're eating and feeling good with how intuitive they are with their eating, then they'll be able to eat intuitively for the rest of their life. That's a skill that they earned and they're able to use going forward for the long run. Without the actual act of tracking for a few months prior to that, that isn't possible. It's a lot harder to get to that point. Of course, you can learn to eat intuitively and still be successful. It's just not as streamlined of a process. With macro tracking, again, is that it makes it predictable. It makes getting to your results so much faster and so much easier. It is a skill you need to learn and understand how to master at the beginning. But once you do master that, I promise you, like, your life is better for it in the long run. That's why that's my main recommendation for anyone that I coach, is going through macro tracking. My main recommendation for anyone trying to lose weight is to start macro tracking, because without that awareness and understanding of what you're eating, you will never really have freedom with your food. And this is just one way of achieving awareness. It's one way of achieving understanding of food. There's a lot of other ways, but I think personally that this is one of the best ways to do it. And I know that because of all the clients I've worked with and how much success they've had. I know that through my personal experience of learning food and tracking it, understanding it, it's something that works, and it's worked time and time again. So to make this long answer shorter, you can lose weight without macro tracking. It is a little harder to do so. The goal isn't to do it forever. The goal is to do it for a period of time, reach a specific goal, and learn how to eat properly for the rest of your life through that.